Black Forest Labs had released two new models, named Klein with 9 billion parameters, and a smaller version with 4 billion parameters. Let's check the details and the files available in the Klein family of models. So there are multiple variants on the two models released. Let's look at it closely. The model you're seeing here is the full model, and it's probably the best one in the Klein family. This one is the 9B full model, and this is the 4B full model. Just below these, you'll also find the base versions of both the 9B and 4B models. The base model is important because it lets us train LoRa, which goes very well with other models in the family. So having access to the base model opens up a lot of possibilities. In comparison, the base model may produce a slightly low-quality result if you compare with the latest fine-tuned model after a few weeks. But the base model is where the Klein family starts. So the four models on the top are the full-size models, which includes base versions of the two models released. Below, I can see that all the four models from above are again having more variants. It was confusing, so let's look at this. We have the full version, and this 18GB model should run on a 12GB card with a 32GB of system memory. The reason you should try this is because the image generation time will not be as long as the previous FLUX.2 model. These are distilled models. So, these are the base versions of the same models. Next, we have the NVFP4 model. These models are faster on Blackwell cards, which are the latest 5000 series graphic cards. Using comfyUI, you can make this model work on 4000 series cards or older card, but then you will not be able to have the advantage of gaining speed while generating images. Also, my experience with the NVFP4 model on the 4060 Ti 16GB was not good. The results were kind of dull. So, if you are running a 5000 series card, then you should try this. Next is the FP8 model, which is a stripped-down version of the full model. The four models we see above are available here in the FP8 version. Having a smaller base model makes training a LoRa possible even on smaller graphic cards. On the GitHub page, the Flux team had given a model overview, which we should be looking at. The Klein 4B is Apache 2.0 license, but the 9B model has a non-commercial license. Similarly, in the base version of these models, the 4B base model can be used under Apache 2.0. And the 9B base model has a non-commercial license. This is the older FLUX.2 model released a few months back. This overview gives us one more useful information. The two models on the top you see are the full models. And here it says, both of these models support distilled sampling steps and distilled guidance scale. The guidance scale here is being referred to as the CFG value in comfyUI. We can generate images within 4 to 8 sampling steps with these two models, and by keeping the CFG value around 1. The other two base models below do not support distill sampling and guidance, which means the base model will produce a decent output after 20 or more sampling steps with a CFG value of around 5. Below is the recommended GPU for these models. It says 3090 or 4070. But the FP8 models we saw should work on smaller cards. Let's look at the workflow. The workflow should be in comfyUI. Make sure you update to have the latest workflow. In the template section, I will apply filters for the FLUX.2 workflow. And here is the Klein 9B text-to-image workflow, and then there is an image edit workflow with the same 9B model. Again, we can see the 9B image edit workflow, but this is the distilled workflow. So the number of sampling steps here will be somewhere around 4 and 8 steps. Similarly, we have a text-to-image workflow for the 4B model, and then there are two workflows for image editing. Out of those two, one is the distilled workflow for the 4B model. So let's begin with a simple text-to-image workflow. Looks like there are two workflows producing result. One is disabled. The files required to run this workflow are given on the left. Let's download all the required files quickly. The VAE goes into the models, and then the VAE folder. And then the text encoder goes into the text encoder folder. Now these two files. If I try to download the first file, it says the file is gated, and we need permission to access this. You can click this Agree button to download the file, and you must be logged in into your Hugging Face account to do so. And then the file can be downloaded. Save it inside the Diffusion Models folder. So that was the base file. Now the distilled file, which is here. And again, we need to accept the terms before downloading the file. Save it inside the Diffusion Models folder. In case you're going for the 4B workflow, the link to the model files are missing in the text-to-image workflow. The comfyUI team might have missed it. You can get the link for the files from the image edit workflow. The link to download the files is present. The text encoder is on the top, which I have already. And below is the FP8 version of the 4B model. This file will be downloaded automatically because it has an Apache 2.0 license. No acceptance needed on Hugging Face like we saw before. The VAE file used here is the same which I downloaded from the 9B workflow. So I have downloaded the recommended file in the 9B workflow. And remember there were two files, distilled and based. I downloaded both for this workflow. Save the workflow and refresh the file list in comfyUI by pressing the letter R, then quickly select the files. And then run the workflow. The number of steps to generate an image here is 20 steps, and the time taken to generate the first image was 92 seconds, and the image looks good. Now I will try again, and the second image generation should be fast. The prompt executed in 0 seconds. The seed ID here should be changing automatically when this control after generate is set as random. But it is not happening for some reason, so I will increase it by 1 and try again. It works, and the second image was generated after 67 seconds. So that was the base model in action with 20 sampling steps. Now let's look at the below distilled nodes. I will disable the above workflow. The prompt node goes into both the workflow, so I will use the same in the below active nodes. I will run the workflow directly. Remember, I have downloaded the two files, out of which one was the base model, and right now, the second distilled model is being used. The image generation is way faster. It happened within 20 seconds, and it took 4 steps to generate. One step took less than 2 seconds compared to the base model, which was 3.24 seconds on my 4060 Ti 16GB. So that was the distilled model in comparison to the base model we saw in the above nodes, which are disabled now. In this text-to-image workflow, we have nodes and workflow for both the models, and that is the reason for recommending both the files. Inside the subgraph, things are super simple. The value for the model node, clip, and the VAE are taken from outside, which was selected by us from the dropdown. Height and width are also taken from outside, which goes to the empty latent image. The empty latent is like a blank canvas for generating an image, which goes into the sampling process. The prompt we type and the other values like the CFG and number of step goes here. And then the output is decoded from latent to pixel space with the help of VAE. The same then goes out and becomes visible to us. Now let's look at the image edit workflow. This image edit workflow may look similar to what we saw just now. We had the base model in this workflow, and below we had the distilled model with 4-step process. But in this workflow, I see the base model in both the sections. The nodes above are to be used when you are working with one image and a prompt for editing. Then the edited result produced will be shown here. And the workflow below is for working with 2 images, so the base model remains the same. The difference is about the number of image being uploaded. If we see inside the subgraph, there are 20 steps and with CFG value at 5. The file recommended here is the base version of the 9B model. So that was the reason for having two separate workflows for image editing. I will use the Distilled workflow for image edit. As we saw just now, we can use this if we have one image to work with. And if there are two images, we should use the workflow below. I am downloading the 9B Image Edit Distilled model. This is a full-size model. If you want better than this, then you can look at the full-size 9B base version. The reason for it being better is because it takes 20 sampling steps. I have generated an image to begin with. My prompt was about replacing the background with a quiet coastal cliff at overcast sunset and removing all buildings and streets. Change the given image into a photorealistic image. Keep pose, perspective, and proportions intact. A stylized video game character by keeping the subject recognizable, but adapt them to a game-ready design with distinctive outfit. The model released by the Black Forest team works great. The image generated are good. Extract the main object from this image and place it on a transparent background. Change the facial expression of the person in this photo to smiling. The model does facial expression very well, no doubt. And this is the surprised look using the same prompt. I'm changing just a single word in the prompt. I changed the facial expression as laughing, and then thoughtful. Next, I took a close-up shot of the subject. Long wavy hair looks good. Next was the short bob hairstyle for the formal look. Curly hair for the party. Ponytail with a casual look. Comic artists are going to love this model. All these edits are happening in a single attempt. The model still does not understand the logic behind the size of a human in comparison to the surrounding. Playing with this model will be fun. And I found something here. She got extra fingers. But the quality of these images are great. I should be switching to a 1440p recording. So that was the image editing using one image and prompt. I will try using two images and see how it handles. I will continue with the same image and we'll try to give her a motorcycle, and then I will prompt to make her ride the motorcycle. My prompt is use the first image for the woman's pose and body position, and the second image for the motorcycle. Create a single scene where the same woman is seated on the motorbike. The result looks fine, but we are on the darker side. It did well with the realistic woman. I should be turning around the bike with this image. This looks better. The facial consistency looks like around 80% to me. Making her ride here will be a difficult task because the path is on the left side of the image. The image edit models work fine when the subject and other interactions are happening at the center of an image. My prompt here is use image 1 for the woman's pose, body, and appearance, and use image 2 for the background landscape setting. Create a composite where the same woman is riding a motorbike along the path. The result was a failure, but I can't blame the model. Now I realize the prompt should also describe the direction where the woman is heading, and the angle of the camera with the angle from which the woman's image should be captured. I tried changing the prompt. Now the prompt is use image 1 for the woman's appearance and body proportions, and image 2 for the landscape and path. Create a scene where the woman is riding the motorbike forward along the brown dirt path, centered on the trail. The camera is positioned in front of the bike, slightly above eye level, capturing a front-facing riding angle as she moves toward the viewer. So after 38 seconds, I got the result. This section was completely generated by the model to make the prompt possible. I am sure this model can outpaint easily. I noticed something in the 4B text-to-image workflow. This workflow is for the base model. but the same model name is visible in the below nodes as well. These nodes are for the distilled model. Also inside the subgraph, the value is set as 4 steps with CFG of 1. This will give you a bad result if you work with the base model. So that was it for this video. I don't think I need to share the workflow. The images and prompt used will be shared on Discord. I hope the video was informative, and I wish you an excellent day.